K-52 Wolfram. They can take multiple of these things now. Yep. Now, as you might have guessed from the title and thumbnail of this video, I'm going to be talking about the K-50, K-52, Mi-28, etc., and the relationship between helicopters and surface-to-air missiles, pretty much just CAS in general, currently as of Update Red Skies. And I'm sure that if you play top tier, you're very familiar with the K-52 and the Mi-28 and their rocket rushing spams, the T-80 BVM, just the red wave that has pretty much been sweeping top tier since the patch. I kind of talked about this in a previous video a little bit, just kind of was doing like a little bit of a rant, but I want to go kind of in depth right now and kind of debunk or just kind of minimize the misconception or the outdated advice, let's say, that players have been giving on how to deal with K-50s and K-52s and Mi-28s and such. But first, I'm going to recap and then I'm going to summarize the loadouts of these helicopters. Essentially, the K-50 is a $60 premium version of the K-52. It was a much earlier model than the K-52, which is actually a Russian Federation helicopter. The K-50 can get basically half the ordnance of a K-52. That being, if you want to take the 2 Igla missiles, you'll have to sacrifice 6 Vikers, but six more Vikers still just goes a long way, and you only have S8 KOs. The S13, which is what the K-52 carries, we'll get onto in a second, but essentially, if you want to be full-on tank busting, you get the 12 Vikers, and you don't have the Iglas because they're really not that good, considering how good the Viker missile is, and we'll also get into that in a minute. But getting onto the K-52 is essentially the flying ADATs, and it can carry 4 Iglas, 12 Vikers, so it doesn't have the penalty that the K-50 suffers, and it can also carry 10 times S13s if you want to carry the missiles. However, the problem comes in when you can carry basically 2 more pods of S13s at the beginning of a match with no penalty to your spawn point cost, because S13s are thermobaric warheads and they pretty much nuke a tank if they land anywhere near it, no matter what MBT it is. Nothing, it doesn't matter. All they have to do is use their ballistic computer and fire at you, and you're pretty much dead on the first rocket salvo. So it only takes 1 pop, so basically 2 S13s per person. Also, no, I did not forget the Mi-28N. It can also do the same exact thing that the K-52 can, which even reinforces and basically adds a backup rocket rushing helicopter that if you get enough kills in, you can spawn in that one too.
Sure, but holy fuck. The 5x, the 6x.
I've come to nickname the K-52 the ADATs of the sky, or the multi-tool of the Russian Federation, because essentially it can literally do everything. Of course, it is an entry helicopter. It's not $50, $60 like the K-50 is, so you do actually have to grind it out. However, because of how good and how easy the K-50 is to use compared to other premium helicopters, especially in heli battles mode, which is a video on its own entirely. That mode is just a complete shit show. It's actually the easiest helicopter grind you'll have of any nation in the game. Now, really, the only way to defeat a K-50 or K-52 is if they are completely clueless when it comes to flying an aircraft. If they don't notice you spawn in, they won't be able to kill you with their Viker missiles, because the CCIP, the entire ballistic computer system really of the helicopters, is very, very accurate, especially in the K-50 and K-52, and it pretty much allows them to lock you as a target. You can be flying Mach 1, but as long as they just keep flying in third person and pointing their nose towards you, and they have a Viker missile out, they'll kill you. The Viker missile is insanely fast. It can catch a Phantom going Mach 1 on the deck. Let's not forget that the Tunguska is essentially the best SAM in game, with 4 30mm cannons that can destroy things at close range, and also has really, really good surface-to-air missiles. While the ADATS is considered a tank destroyer, it still costs a lot more to spawn. And while the ADATS missile is multi-purpose, considering the spam of helicopters and just overall cast, the ADATS has pretty much been reduced to saving its missiles, which can kill tanks, to just using them against aircraft. The whole idea of the ADATs being a multi-purpose vehicle very, very rarely even works anymore, because most of the time you're having to use those 8 missiles that you're given to shoot down aircraft, because otherwise you might not reach a cap. Let's not forget that helipad AA can still be very dangerous at times, but if that doesn't get you, the CCIP of a Ka-50 that you just rocketed will.
He just clipped me? That is so bullshit! What?
Now, the one strength of the Vickers missile that has been unchanged is the ability for it to be super accurate and very fast, so you can get shots on unsuspecting players to think they're safe.
Oh!
Now, for anyone who says, oh, just spawn a SAM, bro, and you can kill them like you have a missile, sometimes it's not that easy, considering the one buff that they gave to the Vickers missile, and pretty much missiles in general, but it applies to the Vickers missile the most, is the fact that SAM missiles will proximity fuse on the Vickers but will not destroy it. Which I have a great example of from Mochi APFSDS, who is another YouTuber who you might have seen sometime and you recommended. Kill 3 SAMs with 12 Vickers. Yeah, those guys just decided to spawn a SAM, and guess what? Because the Vickers can be multiple guided, and the Vickers missile cannot be destroyed from their SAM missiles, they died. There is nothing that they can physically do to change that. Yet, the Stinger missile is still allowed to track and fly like a dog trying to catch a frisbee while high off of 1,000 milligrams of weed, which would probably kill it, but of course the Stinger can't even kill a barely flying MiG-21. Now, onto the S-13. The S-13 is, from what I understand, a thermobaric warhead, or like liquid explosive of some kind, and the blast radius, with the multitude of changes from either getting an explosive buff, or what we all are familiar with, pressure changes being messed with almost every patch, the S-13 essentially just keeps getting stronger and stronger. Not to mention that the Ka-52 and the Mi-28 are very, very tanky helicopters. Not discounting the Ka-50 here, but the Mi-28, its armor especially allows it to be almost unkillable for the first couple of shots. MPAT, from what I understand, a couple of patches ago got nerfed. MPAT used to be very, very strong and pretty much used to take care of early helicopter rushing players very, very easily. Now it takes not 1, not 2, sometimes 3 or even 4 to finally bring down a helicopter. The Ka-52 and Ka-50 have counter-rotating blades, which pretty much allow it to have the stability that a tail rotor would otherwise provide. It has a normal tail as well, which Gaijin just recently buffed how the damage model of horizontal stabilizers, aka elevators, work. So it allows the Ka-50 and 52 to pretty much still fly normally while they get shot at by an entire team. They will take multiple missiles, they will take multiple MPAT shots to kill, while all they have to do is turn on their ballistic computer and sneeze in your direction, and you're dead.
6, and I look at the little clasp where a fuel tank should go, I'm like, huh.
MPAT! Yeah, just use MPAT. I just hit a Havoc, and he's totally fine. Now I'm dead. It's useless! Behind the rocks. Move, spread out. That shit is fucking cancer, and Gaijin fucking knows it.
Oh, they have an
He spawned in a backup! Get the fuck out of here.
And like you saw in the clip of me and the Ariete on Frozen Pass, some maps, like as you see here, me trying to kill a spawn-protected Tunguska on Corellia, some maps like Corellia and Frozen Pass, in the clip much earlier you saw of the guy on Carpathians getting a 6 times kill, some maps, you just feel like you're just a pawn in a tower defense game. There is nothing you can do. The map really depends on how people behave and whether they choose to spawn in a K52 or MI28 or K50. So now you might be wondering what I propose. And what I propose is Gaijin go in and change some numbers. All they have to do is make it so that heavy rockets like the S-13 are not cheap enough to be first spawned. The rocket is clearly super powerful, super good, and easy to use. And while I guess I understand it is on entry helicopters, plenty of people have the K-52 or the Mi-28 at this point in time. It's not like when the K-50 first came out and everyone was grinding and it was only there looming over your head. Pretty much anyone who was dedicated enough to slapping in heli battles has a K-52 or an Mi-28. And I think the helicopter that takes an ATGM, no matter what it is, because Hellfires are wishy-washy depending on the patch, but they're still very good. PARs did get a nerf, but they're still usable. Anytime a helicopter takes an advanced ATGM, not like, you know, a Huey spawning with SS-11, that's too much, but for the higher tier, higher battle rating helicopters, if they spawn in with a full ATGM loadout, they should cost as much to spawn as an aircraft with Mavericks. Helicopters have more potential killing power than the F4 and the F5 and the A7D do. Or the Su-17 only has 1 to 2 air-to-ground missiles, and they're a completely different guidance system. Fortunately, Smin has indicated that he passed on a lot of stuff that I had been saying and a few other content creators, and I'm assuming some forum people have been saying about helicopters and their balance recently onto Gaijin. So that's the good news, but the bad news is, what is Gaijin going to do? Are they just going to not do anything and they're going to continue to milk the K50 for what it is? Or are we actually going to get some change to the system? Because everybody at top tier right now, I'm pretty sure, even some of the Russian players might be sick and tired of just watching half a team just leave after they got rocket rushed. It's not fun for anyone. Like I said, I even think the Russians don't find it fun. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for me. I'm kind of tired of talking about this topic. It's long overdue for a change. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know how your experience has gone with spawning in a SAM, and just honestly, the 50-50 gamble, just kind of over it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, I'm Still Wolf, and I'll see you guys next time.